alumni of the computer science department. As the first member of my family to go to university, there was a lot of pressure on me to be successful. A summer breeze program for engineers gave me the tools I needed and exposed me to friends that eventually became an integral part of my success. However, it was a Chicano Studies course I took my freshman year that gave me the motivation and critical thinking skills I needed to succeed. I can also credit the Chicano Studies course I took my senior year for giving me the level of social consciousness I needed to thrive in grad school, while maintaining my cultural identity, which, by the way, is not Chicano. My father is Peruvian, and my mother is Salvadorian. Because we live in a pluralistic society that continually changes, it is imperative that we have courses that address the history and cultural significance of underrepresented people. This should be done from their perspective and should contrast the dominant ones.
I really first want to address the students, okay? And this is hard for me, so bear with me. This is a very, very, very passionate issue, and it is passionate on both sides, okay? And I want to start by saying, last week we were all standing outside, and it is, believe me, we are older than you, okay? Don't go on my youthful face, I'm very old. Very hard for me to stand there, and I know some of my colleagues, we were really in pain, but we still stood there because we wanted to hear you. We really wanted to hear you. We did not walk out. So just give me 2 minutes, and please listen to me with a little open mind. I am, and I will always fight for student rights. Always. Okay? So I went and asked my students, do you like ethnic studies? Do you like diversity? And I totally agree with you. Ethnicity is important. Diversity is important. Our students must learn it. Absolutely right. For a minute, I started thinking, is anybody stopping you from taking a course in diversity? I'm going to fight with you. I'm going to put a tape, and I'm going to stand there, hold your hands. If you're being stopped from taking ethnicity or any courses in diversity, I will stand with you. But that was not the motion. The motion is saying, the motion is forcing students to take courses from these departments. And that is something I don't agree. I asked my students, I agree, I have not spoken to you guys, but you all are my students. I asked some of my students, would you like to have choice or would you like to be forced? Believe me, students, as a child, when my daddy forced me to do one thing, I would go and do just the opposite. Why? Because I like choice. I like the freedom of choice. That is why I'm just pleading to you. There are thousands of students who are not here right now, but who would like the freedom of choice. If you feel so passionately about ethnic studies, go and tell them. They will definitely share with them that this is what ethnic studies did to us. They will take the courses. But don't force them. When you senators pass this motion today, it will mean you're forcing a student to take it. I thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
If we don't force them, they'll never take it. If we don't force them, they won't take it.
I cede my time to Laisha Pittman.
All right.
I just want to say that I'm a graduating senior, and I am the only out of 5 children to come to college and to finish college. And do you understand how much pressure is on me because of that? So coming in, I came in as a biochem major, and I switched over to health science, and I see a few of professors that I've taken courses with here. I've learned from all the courses that I've taken, but declaring Pan-African Studies as my major now, I've learned to have a different way of thinking. The way I view things are different now. I felt like I was being forced to stay within the sciences to become successful, to be something that my parents wanted me to be, and I wasn't able to identify with who I really am. Taking these courses allowed me to be able to identify who I am as a woman, as a Black woman in the society today. So I just want to say that we're not being forced to take these courses, we want to take these courses.
Right.
And sometimes when you are forced to take something, you learn from it and it sparks an interest.
Right.
When I came in as an EOP student, they allowed me to be here. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for EOP. When I came in, I had to take PAS 180. And I didn't know anything about it. I've heard about racism and discrimination and all of those things, but I didn't know how to comprehend the differences between them. So being required or having to take that class, it sparked an interest. And so now, with it being my major, it's something that I wish I would have done coming into this university. So what I'm saying is sometimes being forced to do something, you learn from it and you grow from it. We're all here because we want to be here. We're taking these courses because we want to take these courses, not because we're being forced to take these courses. We're putting our time when we should be in class or at work or wherever we need to be, we're putting it into this motion because we are passionate about this. So thank you. I appreciate you all for hearing the students and for at least looking, at our point of view on how we feel about this, because this is something that we are passionate about. So that's all I'm going to say.
Dear senators and students, thank you so much for coming. I think for about the last 4 weeks, before coming to the Senate or the night before, I've always wondered what's going on and how important this discussion is. The only thing that really upset me was it went from one discussion into the next discussion without really having been able to talk about the details of what was going on at the university. We're talking about general education revision. We're going into the semester structure, all kinds of stuff. It gives us a very, very wonderful opportunity to just make our university better. From one moment to the next, we went into, which I never knew, that our ethnic studies program was in trouble. And that was very disturbing. So we went from, should we have this motion go through, to but the ethnic study program is a problem. Then I said, well, is it choice or am I saving the program? And I'm having a very hard time. I believe in choice and I want to save the program. What I would have liked to have seen, and I would like to have had more time with the people from ethnic studies to really discuss how we can save the program, what the research is for this motion, and to really sit with you guys. With Melina, I've sat next to her, and I really know where you're coming from. But this is, for me, a very difficult decision. So I can either go for the motion and force students to take it, which would be very hard, and I can see where that would be very useful for many of them. On the other hand, I don't think it's fair if they don't have a choice in any other departments. And I'm actually from the College of Business, and I teach international business, international management for 22 years. All my research is international, on culture, on diversity and everything, so I know. But I know it's important. And I know this country, it's not resolved. Look what is happening in our government and everywhere.
Yes.
But I wish we could have more debate, because I'm almost not ready to vote, and I have to vote. And I just don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm very upset about it. Thank you.
I put you on the list. We're still getting hands from senators who have not spoken yet on this motion, so, order.
Well-rounded citizens engaged in their communities, but we also need them to be strong technical professionals. So we're constantly up against it, and with 120 units, it's a real struggle. I also strongly believe, as I look at my students taking classes now, because of some of the constraints of the way GE is designed currently, they're forced to take courses that really they wouldn't want to take, that have no meaning and significance for them. That said, and I also strongly believe that strength, what Senator Peterson said about the fact that I feel like courses should be taken based on the concept, not necessarily by the department that teaches them. And so last week I expressed some of that. I listened intently to all the students and I appreciated their points of view. I also talked to Dr. King afterwards. She shared the paper with me that she sent out last night or yesterday sometime. And I read it, and I've been thinking about this more than anything for the last several weeks. And in the middle of everything we're doing, I've been spending a lot of time on this issue, talking to other colleagues from a multitude of different backgrounds and seeking input and their insights and their expertise as well. And definitely from that paper, I can see the benefit of ethnic studies and an ethnic studies course. But I think given my desire for choice, given my belief that programs should not belong to, courses should not belong to a department in general education, I would like to see, but from reading that paper and from hearing the students, I strongly feel that a course in race and ethnicity is needed as a requirement for our students. I think it would be beneficial for all students, but I just don't feel that it should be limited to the ethnic studies. Clearly, they're experts. Clearly, the way that they teach it, and I know that somebody's pointing to they cross-listed, but still I think there could be courses that aren't cross-listed that still cover race and ethnicity that maybe don't cross-list with one of those four. It still should be a valid course. So I don't see that why it should be limited to ethnic studies. I do strongly support a course in race and ethnicity being a requirement, but just not particularly this motion.
I'm Heidi Riccio from the psychology department. I don't understand this idea about forcing. There are two diversity requirements that we are already requiring for our students. There are two. I don't, and the idea that a department doesn't own a course. I was forced to take political science when I didn't know what political science was, and I didn't necessarily want to take it, but it changed my life. Political science changed my life. And I think that every student should be required to take political science, and they are. They're also required to take history, which is taught in the history department. So they're forced to take that. Why can't we have one course from these four departments, that including women's and gender studies and sexuality studies, cross-listed? Why can't we have one There's no reason not to do that. It's progressive. The students want it. It's important for these departments. There's no reason not to. It's not owning a course. It's not owning a requirement. There's another diversity requirement. Now we have cross-listing. If people want to teach a course that's cross-listed here, propose the course and cross-list it with one of these departments. If you're a scholar in race, ethnicity, or women's studies, if you want to do that, then do it. This is one course of the many courses that students have to take. Students that do have choice. They have plenty of choices. They choose a major. They choose our school. Before when we met about GET and issues in GET, this adds one line to GET. I advise students in GET every single day of my life, including Saturday and Sunday, students emailing me asking me questions. We're not going to have the tail wag the dog and let the computer tell us what we require for the students. I don't understand the opposition to this at all. I support this motion. I urge my senators, please reconsider why we would oppose this. One course, not a big deal, except for the students who want this requirement and for the faculty who think it's important. Some students don't want to take these courses. I think that those are the students who should take these courses.
I have you on the list of second speakers.
Standing O after what I have to say, and one more white guy. I'm the oldest body person in the room. In opposition to this proposal, but not in opposition to ethnic studies, and I would support what Senator Warder Perez said, and I've thought about this for some time. that if this proposal were to require ethnic studies, or a course in ethnic studies, race, class, gender, however you want to frame that, I would vote for it. I'd have no trouble whatsoever. I have trouble with this simply because, unlike every other GE program in the state, as far as I know, including that is in the CSU, when you're dealing with this part of the document, this is just the structure and the basis, if you will, of content. It is not a designation of courses. That comes later. And the example of Northridge has been presented at one time. If you look up the Northridge GE program, you will find that they have a category called something like, I can't remember.
Cross-cultural studies.
Cross-cultural studies and race and ethnicity and gender and foreign language. They actually include that in there, which is a little odd as far as I'm concerned, but nevertheless, there it is. And then, so that's the way they define it. Of course, what they have as courses, certainly it's ethnic study courses are all through that kind of program, but they also have beginning French, and they also have geology. Now, how they get in there, I don't know, but what I'm saying is there's another level of considerations here. If we had a category, such as you suggested, that said, and if this one dies, it doesn't mean the issue is over with. It solves some of these problems. Come back with a proposal, and I would urge not this, because this doesn't belong. Designations of departments, I don't think, belong in this kind of document, this kind of proposal. But the requirement for ethnic studies, that certainly can belong and should belong, not just at this university, it should belong in all universities as far as I'm concerned. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But it needs to be phrased in such a way. Cross-listing doesn't really help because you can cross-list a course without the department you're cross-listing with agreeing to what you're doing. And cross-listing, by and large, is simply, more often than not, a way to gather a large enough audience for a course that would otherwise not gather because you get it from two different areas. Now, if it were interdisciplinary, that's fine. So I would urge for the senators to vote no on this and then come back with a proposal that requires ethnic studies as part of the GE package. And in response to Senator Riggio, this is not a, right now, in terms of the GE, nothing is required. English department is not required to teach English.
Yes.
So we are required, excuse me, I put it incorrectly. Students are not required under the new GE, as it's being presented, to take a course in English from the English department. You know who teaches composition?
They have to.
At Northridge? Chicano Studies, Pan-African Studies, so on. They offer courses in composition. They offer courses in speech. They offer courses in critical thinking. You've been graduating from Northridge without ever having taken a course from the English department.
We're here at Cal State LA, sir.
I know. I understand. Well,
Let's be the first.
quiet. I'm arguing for ethnic studies, but I'm arguing for it in a different way. That's all.
You're asking for it to get washed down. Yeah, we're not trying to wash
Are there any
it down.
senators seeking the floor for the first time? And I have a list of senators.
I have a choice of how people approach me. I'm a single mom, but at the same time, living here in this area in Southern California, I've dealt with my daughter being called a niglet. I've dealt with my daughter being called by people who are supposed to be educated a monkey. And that's probably the worst feeling. For those of you who are parents or for those of you who want to become parents, that is the worst feeling when there's someone across from you and you're just standing there and they call your daughter, or they call your child something, and you don't even know how to respond to them because of the stereotypes placed on, first of all, women of color, and the stereotypes that are placed on you by your ethnicity. And that's a problem. And these are the people, like they've said earlier, these are the people who need these classes. I understand they may not want to take these classes, but by taking these classes, they develop that critical consciousness to realize, no, you can't profile people in this way and assume that all black people do this. You can't assume all Chicano people and Chicano people do this. You can't assume things. Like, when I first started dating outside my ethnicity, I received death threats. Death threats. People who came to my house, unmarked postcards put in my mailbox. And that was crazy. And that's the thing. These ethnic studies classes, these people are failing to realize these ethnic studies classes aren't for specifically only those people of color. If that was the case, I'd be a Chicano Studies major, but I'm not. I'm a Pan-African Studies major, as well as I was a past president of the Black Student Union here on campus, as well as some part of like all
everybody is going to benefit from them. They're not only benefiting students of color, they're benefiting every student here. And like I think of the choices, like on the departments, I understand, but at the same time, you're looking at math classes are not going to be taught by, ethnic studies professors because they're not, related. You understand, like, the fact that this is why ethnic studies professors should teach ethnic studies classes. They should be under these departments. But again, if you're concerned about the future of not only the future generations of people coming through CAST LA, but if you're concerned about the future of people living in Southern California, hell, if you're